The transition elements are the elements between groups 2 and 3 of the periodic table. Most people are familiar with these elements, such as gold, silver and iron. The transition elements are all metals. These metals are less reactive than group 1 metals. They do not react with oxygen, water or the elements in group 7, such as chlorine, as readily as the group 1 metals do. Copper reacts slowly with oxygen to produce copper 2 oxide. Iron and chlorine react rapidly when heated to form iron 3 chloride. The group 1 metals react violently with water, however the transition metals either do not react or react very slowly. This means that when the transition metals corrode, they do so very slowly, if at all. These properties make them ideal for structural materials. Transition metal compounds are often highly coloured. Some that you may be familiar with include copper 2 sulfate, which is blue, manganese 2 chloride, which is pale pink, nickel 2 carbonate, which is pale green, and chromium 3 oxide, which is dark green. We also need to know the ion compounds, but these need a bit of explanation. These colours are caused by metal ions, such as Cu2+, and Mn2+. You may have already noticed that the names of the transition metal compounds often have Roman numerals, such as iron 3 chloride and copper 2 oxide. The reason for this is that the transition elements can form more than one type of ion. This means they can lose different number of electrons depending on the reaction occurring. Because it is the metal ion which determines the colour of the compound, different ions of the same element can have different coloured compounds, such as iron 2 compounds with the Fe2+ ion being green, and ion 3 compounds with the Fe3+ ion giving red compounds. The transition metals, like nearly all metals, have high melting temperatures, with the exception being mercury. Compared to the metals of group 1, their melting temperatures are very high. This means that the metals are much harder and stronger. This makes these metals useful in industrial and commercial applications. The transition metals have high densities, which are much higher than the group 1 elements. Like all metals, the transition metals are good conductors of both electricity and thermal energy. The transition metals are used largely in industry as catalysts. A catalyst is a substance which speeds up the rate of a reaction without itself being used up. For example, iron is used as a catalyst for the production of ammonia in the Haber process.